Welcome, Diba. Thanks for taking some time. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me here, Greg. Diba, for those that don't know me. I specialize in the Tri City area, but I work at Axford Real Estate here. And I have a little dog. If you don't know me, go to my page. Her name is Penny. She's the love of my life. And yeah, I've been in the real estate market for over a year now. And here we are.
Yeah, Penny. Everybody's the office mascot right now.
Yes, she's my assistant.
Yeah. Um, what do you think the market right now? What's happening? Would you say it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, a balanced market?
Totally. That's a very good question. As I'm sure people have heard it on, news or whatnot, it is a buyer's market, absolutely. And the reason for that is because the inventory level is very high and demand is not as high as it should be.
Right.
So people have choices, buyers have options, and that's why we can negotiate more things, more than just the price even.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's certainly the inventory is definitely high, and you often hear sometimes, especially people kind of buyers that are first-time buyers that are entering the market, a little reluctant right now, maybe is safe to say, and I think that's because they're waiting. A lot of them are waiting to see what happens. So, um, what's your take on that? Do you think it's a good time to buy? Would you wait?
I always say buy in the dip, right? It's the same with the stock market. When it goes down, you buy and you wait. We're in the dip for real estate as well. Prices are down. I would say if you're a first time buyer and you have money saved up, I would put it into real estate and watch it grow over the years. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know if it's gonna go down even more. It might, very well. But for the past year and a half, we've seen downward pressure on the price, and I think for first-time buyers and investors, it's a good idea to invest.
Yeah, it's hard. I think if I was a buyer right now, I'd be a little bit reluctant and confused maybe as well. Um, but I think good advice is that if you find the right home, right? If you
Right.
find the right property and you fall in love with it,
Mm,
then why not put in an offer and see, if you can negotiate a good
yeah.
price and dates that work and conditions and that kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Versus timing the market. It's nobody can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other part of that equation that always kind of makes buyers more hesitant or more willing is the interest rates. What do you see happening here next little bit?
I think it's hard to say, but for the past few announcements, we've hold the rate steady. And I would think with the current situation just around globally, they would hold it steady. Fixed rates have been going up, right, with the bond yields just being so up and down. So we might see a raise, but just seeing the recent report saying we are in a technical recession, I highly doubt that we're gonna see a hike.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of people in that world predict to just kind of hold right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just assume that the rates aren't going to go down anymore. You've got a good selection of inventory. I really do think it's a good time to buy.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing what's the buyer profile right now? Who's out there looking and buying?
Well, that's a great question. Mainly, it's first-time buyers. So it's this dream of buying a home in Vancouver was so far-fetched in 2021, 2020. So people in their late 20s, early 30s are entering the market. It's basically end users. So we're not seeing a lot of investors per se
Yeah.
come into the market. It's where families depending on life plans as well. Like if people are going through a divorce, they have to.
Yeah.
So it's just based on their situation. I would think that, people relocating, first time buyers, or just life changes.
Yeah. Bigger families, smaller families, that kind of thing. So with buyers, sometimes there's a misunderstanding or misconception. What does a buyer need to enter the market? Do they need a 20% down payment right now, or can they do zero like back in the days, or?
Yeah.
Because people aren't sure. Do I have
I
enough
know.
money to get my foot in the real estate door if I want?
I get that question a lot. They're like, we don't have 20% down. And I tell them, you don't need 20% down. The minimum is 5% that you need for first-time buyers. But I also tell them, put aside 1 to 2% of the purchase price in case of emergency. So you will have closing costs, lawyers, notaries, that sort of thing, moving costs as well. So I always try to plan ahead for them, to tell them, a few $1,000s aside from down payment, put aside just in case of emergency.
Yeah, that's good advice. It's always good advice to have a little bit of an emergency fund if you're going to enter the real estate market.
Yeah, things don't go as planned all the time.
So what do you... we already touched on that. So you've got... So if you're at an open house, a buyer comes in and, you're talking with them, and they don't have... It seems like some buyers right now don't have realtors. They're kind of out looking on their own. What if you were in their shoes? What would you get a realtor? Would you continue to look on your own until you found something that you wanted to put an offer in on? How would you go about it?
I think what we're seeing right now is people are not wanting to bother their agents, so they don't want to text or ask for opinions when that's our job. We're here to give advice, and that's what I've been noticing with people coming through the open house. Oh yeah, we have an agent, but we don't want to bother them until it's ready to write an offer.
Right.
To that, I say that there is downside to it because we can see more than what's available public. We can see the history of the home, how long it's been on the market, was there any price reduction, is there any disclosures that the other agent has put into MLS regarding property. So what we find with especially strata properties, I like to review the strata document, see if there's any surface level red flags before people go to the open house, waste their time, waste the other agent's time. So there's pros and cons to both, but mostly I think people just don't want to bother us, and to that I say it's our job.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I'm always surprised that people say they don't want to bother their agent when there's ultimately that's what they're going to get paid for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So with that, so you I think you touched on a couple important things there. There's a lot of things that a realtor can do if you're a buyer, you feel like you're not quite ready to be committed with a realtor.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't unsure what value that realtor could add, but like you said, have a preview of the strata documents before you even go look at the building, so that you're not wasting time if it's a bad building.
Right.
If they're not familiar with the neighborhoods that they're looking in, the realtor may be able to offer some valuable insight on that kind of thing. So excellent advice. I think hooking up with a realtor can add help people significantly in their search process.
And especially with the buyers as well, because they're not paying us. The seller and seller's agent will be paying the commission. So
yeah, that's
really,
right. Sometimes people are confused on that, right?
Yeah, really, you should take advantage of that because you're not paying for it. Why not use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what... maybe a funner question, a lighter question. What you've like you said, you're kind of newly licensed in your first few years. Any funny stories or awkward moments?
I have awkward/funny of this older gentleman because we sold a home in a townhome complex in Pitt Meadows. And it was a great sale because we sold it in less than a month when the market was still very slow. So I printed a flyer, I went around to the complex and let everybody know that this is a great sale. I knock on this one door and this gentleman tells me that I don't have any plans to buy or sell, but I'm going to Greece and I would love to talk to you about my travel plans over a glass of wine. And mind you,
you kind of, I think I overheard this story, but
yeah,
and he was married and stuff, an older guy that was married and stuff.
he had a wedding ring.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he told me he's going by himself. So I don't know if he was a widower or whatever, but I saw a ring, so I can only assume he's married, right? And he's like, I'm going to Greece and I'd like to invite you in for a glass of wine. I was like, I appreciate it, but I have a partner. And it caught me off guard because
Yeah, of course.
the gentleman was much older than me, and you never think about it like that, right? With certain group age, because I think he was in his 60s.
Yeah, well, I'm always surprised by the stories I hear, and sometimes that, that one. But on like an important thing is here, we always especially with the female agents in the office, it's like we want to make sure that there's safety support set in place.
Absolutely.
So do you take some safety precautions? I know you do, but what do you do?
Yeah, I do, and this is great. Everybody should do this, especially if you haven't met the buyer before and you're doing a private tour for them for the day. I usually share my location with my friends or my family. Just let them know where I'm going or where I'm headed, and or another one is when I do an open house for a house with a basement that has a separate entry.
Right.
I go in because the light is usually downstairs. You can't turn on the light until you're downstairs. And I have my flashlight. I yell hello for a few times. And when I'm also done with the open house, and I don't want people downstairs or creeping on me. So I also say, hello, how's it going? Is there anybody downstairs? Or I check if there's any shoes at the front door.
Right.
Because I've heard horror stories of people trying to hide in the closet or whatnot and blindside you.
Excuse me, I haven't heard of that, but
No?
I have heard stories that are definitely concerning. So I don't think that you can take too many safety measures to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you, what areas would you, if buyers were looking for recommendations on nice areas, areas with potential growth, versus both in the value of the property, but then also in the area and the infrastructure, the amenities, what would you suggest?
Well, I've lived in Coquitlam myself for the past decade or so. I might be biased, but I really like Coquitlam. The
Lots to
reason, yes, and you get the greenery, you get the good schools, you get the SkyTrain. All of it brings the property value up as well, right? So, depending on your price budget as well, I would suggest Burnaby, but Burnaby, as we know, is quite high in price. So families migrate from Burnaby in Vancouver to Coquitlam or just Tri-City area. Between the Tri-City cities, I do like Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam better than Port Moody, and the reason for that is because Port Coquitlam specifically is going up in value. Price per square footage is picking up, as we've seen in the reports. So I think it's underappreciated in a lot of its aspects. And we also have great schools in Port Coquitlam.
Yeah, there's definitely Port Coquitlam's changed a lot over the last couple decades, that's for sure. What about, what do you think is a common mistake that you see buyers making right now?
Oh, off top of my head, I would say not getting pre-approved. I see so many heartbreaks when we go see homes and the mortgage broker says, you can't.
Right.
I like to get that pre-approval letter so we have a ceiling amount. So when we're searching for a home, we kind of have a budget to work with. And that helps a lot with the search so that they know, right? We're not going from 1 million to 2 million without reasoning, because I've had people that are like, we're looking for a townhome around 1.2. And then the week after, they're like, oh no, we saw a house that's 1.8.
Right.
Let's go see it. And I'm like, we can, for sure, but just be cautious about it, that you might not be able to get approved for it.
Yeah. Well, the truth of it is that a buyer shouldn't be out really looking at real estate unless they're pre-approved, because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of time involved, right? So the sellers are cleaning their house, they're getting ready for the showing, the listing realtor is clearing their day or that slot so that they can show the home. The buyer's agent's taking the buyers out. So if the buyer's not pre-approved and everybody's out doing this, then they just think they can afford it because they went on an app or something like that and plugged in numbers. It'll give you some idea, but I find it, I think the industry overall could run a lot smoother and save a lot of time if that was,
The first step.
the first step and the best advice that a realtor, gives to their buyer, because there's two numbers. There's what they can afford, right? The mortgage broker pre-approves them for a certain number, and then there's what they want to afford, right? So they have to know, right?
Yeah.
They have to know what their budget is.
Absolutely. And there's 4 groups involved, like you said, right? So we don't want to waste anybody's time as well.
And finally, why should someone work with you if they're thinking of buying or selling real estate?
Oh man, the big grand finale. I do believe that I bring a sort of perspective and patience to the process that every buyer needs. I've worked with people for 6+ months. And I'm not saying everybody should do that, but this type of business takes patience.
Yeah, absolutely. Not every buyer's you meet and they're going to buy in that month, right?
Yeah.
So it does require a lot of patience.
Right. And I've had that feedback where they're like, we like that you're not pushy. There's this bias towards any commission-based job, really, but specifically for realtors, that they are biased that we're not getting the appropriate advice that we're supposed to get. And I'm here to say that whatever you see and hear is the truth, right? And we're not playing games, and
Give them honest input on
input.
what you see. If I think a good mantra to go by is kind of if you wouldn't sell your mom that property, right? Why would you sell
Yep.
them into it?
Yeah, they really like when not only do I point out the positives, but the negatives.
Well, that's very important.
It's very important during tours and, previewing the property. And like I said, going through the documents, I send it to them. I'm like, this is what I'm seeing. I don't think it's worth even taking a look at this point. And they're like, oh, really? And then they go through the documents and then it makes sense.
Right.
Even though, when we would have gone and they would have liked it and we may or may not have written an offer, I still like to just be honest and be patient. I think that's the best way to go about it with the buyers.
That's a fantastic advice for people that are looking to be in the industry for a long time and build a solid client database.
Absolutely. We're not here, we're in the people's business, right? We're not in a transaction business. So at the end of the day, it's we work for the people.
Well, you've learned well. Thank you, Diba.
Thanks.